Good morning, and welcome to the Lone Star Weekly Business Hour. Your host, Rick Schissler, is a Silver Fox advisor who personally has over 40 years of experience as a serial entrepreneur. So sit back, pull out your pad and pencil, and get ready to take notes as we join Rick Schissler in his Lone Star Weekly Business Hour.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us this week on the Weekly Business Hour. I think we've got a very, very special show lined up for you today. We've got a couple of guests. One of my good friends and fellow Silver Foxes, Hank Moore, will be joining us later in the show, and I know you're going to enjoy that. And later, Matt Umholtz will also join us. He's been on the show before with PaySphere. Really appreciate you taking time. It's a holiday time. Most businesses are really busy this time of year. They're either busy because it's a seasonal business or because people take time off. Employees take vacations, and everybody's kind of doubling up. So I know it's hard to find time to listen to a business show to get a little education, and that's why we have the podcast. You know, if you don't, the podcasts are posted every Wednesday, and they're available for you at the station website, www.irlonestar.com. Just click on the shows, morning, and you'll see the Weekly Business Hour, and if you click there, they're available. Or you can go to Facebook. We have a Facebook page, the Weekly Business Hour, and there you can click and either listen to the show on SoundCloud or listen to it on YouTube. We have it posted in two different formats to make it convenient for everybody. Well, I want to start today's show, if you will, with a thought for the week. I try to do that every week as a simple way to encourage people. And this week, in deference to my special guest, Hank Moore, something that he taught me a lot about, and that's company celebrations, why celebrations are important to people. And I think it is very important to have celebrations as part of your business. It's amazing to me how many people just don't take time to celebrate all the things that are around them in their business. I know as individuals, personally, we have a lot of family celebrations. We're in the holiday season now with Christmas. We just finished Thanksgiving, got New Year's coming up. But there's a lot of opportunity out there to celebrate your business. And let me ask you, when was the last time your company celebrated? Did you celebrate an anniversary, an award your company received, years of service, employees meeting business goals, introduction of new products and service, et cetera? Like I said, there's just a lot of opportunities to celebrate. And two things I want to mention. First of all, it doesn't have to be an expensive celebration. And the second thing is make it special. Now, people will say, well, if it's going to be special, it's got to be expensive. I don't think so. I think it takes a little bit of thinking, a little bit of planning. That's your expense and your investment. Yes, you can bring in food and drink and whatnot to celebrate, but the key is to make it fun for everybody in your business, fun for your customers, fun for your vendors, whoever's going to be included in the celebration. The clear importance of celebration is that, number one, it will boost your employees' morale. It will give them recognition, and this makes them feel better about where they work. Customers like to do business with a winner, and I think when you celebrate, you're celebrating any kind of celebration. You're saying we are winners, whatever it is, whether it's longtime service of an employee, the fact that employees stay with you and are loyal to your company. Customers, clients, they look at this as a winner, that your business is a winner. And you can always have vendors as part of your celebration because it's good, as we've talked about on the show, to have great relationships and build relationships with vendors. They're an important part of the business puzzle if you're going to be successful. So my encouragement this morning, take a look at your calendar, your business plan, and look for chances to celebrate in the new year. New directions and opportunities are one of the keys to building a successful business. The Weekly Business Hour is where Montgomery County and businesses throughout the world come to talk about the latest in business news, ideas to improve your business, and to hear from some of our local business leaders on how they have found success right here in Montgomery County. Reminder again, we're on Facebook. Please like us on Facebook at the Weekly Business Hour. Set up an alert so that when the new shows are posted, you'll be automatically notified, and you can listen to the show when you choose. Well, let's check in with Dick and see about the business here at Lone Star Community Radio.
I want to let your listeners know that if our schedule is on time, your next show will be on video. So I encourage people to check out every show's YouTube page and subscribe there, because starting next Monday, all shows who are participating will be on video on YouTube, and then soon will be on Our City TV on Channel 12 on Suddenlink. So please check that out. It's going to be a really cool dynamic to the show. And then later in January, we're going to be adding our live video stream, so we could be watching the Weekly Business Hour live on Monday mornings at 11 a.m.
Well, let me ask you, Dick, does that mean I have to comb my hair from now on?
Yes, we actually have a makeup and hair. No, I'm just kidding. No, we will not have that in the studio, but I encourage everybody to check it out. It's going to be fun to watch the shows now.
You know, I'm always encouraged to be here with the folks at Lone Star Community Radio, because they are growing their business. They're doing different and unique things to bring a better product to you and a better service to our community here in Montgomery County. Well, now's the time of the show that I really enjoy, and that is talking to our studio guests. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a very special guest with us today, a personal friend, a fellow Silver Fox, and a renowned corporate strategist, speaker, and author, Hank Moore. Hank, welcome to the show.
Glad to be back again.
I was going to say that you've been on the show before, and I appreciate it each and every time you come. You really educate and talk about some very interesting subjects. And today we're going to talk about your newest book, Nonprofit's Legend. Tell us about the book. Why did you write the book?
Well, this is my 9th book. And, our books are like our children. We love them all equally. But one stands out for one particular reason. This is the one with me. I started in nonprofit. My first mentor when I was 10 years old was Lady Bird Johnson. And she sat me down at her breakfast table and said, "You will be a humanitarian the rest of your life. You will be a visionary." And then it became incumbent on me to grow into the role. I think all of us are good people, good citizens, and we recognize that part of our business success is in the way that we serve our communities. And so it's something that was instilled in me all of my life for volunteer service. I got an award about a year ago from Volunteer Houston, and it was a Lifetime Achievement Award. And it basically reflected 100,000 pro bono hours over a period of 50, 60 years. And that's a lot of hours. And that was working with boards, working with charities, working with schools, churches, arts groups. I mean, the nonprofit culture is pervasive over everything. And it's the backbone of our community. None of us are in business to give all of our time away. But when we do, we want to make it work. We want to make it count for something. And companies want to be good corporate citizens. They want to do their share, usually more than their share. And that could be said of everything here in Montgomery County. Good citizenship is also good for business. So it's a continuum. And my interest here is in celebrating the kind of community stewardship that people do, having people understand that it's the best and noblest of intentions, and it's good for business.
Well, that's interesting. When I went through the book, which I need to mention, and I'm sure I'll mention again, it is a great book for anyone in business, anybody in the nonprofit industry, because you give a lot of history, which I'm always encouraged. I like to build on history. And then you give a lot of information about, what can companies do, what can nonprofits do to improve their business and their service. And one of the things you touch on in the book are public service announcements. And you and I have talked about this on several occasions. It's one of the things we do here at Lone Star Community Radio. In fact, it's one of the cornerstones of building this station, right, is to allow the nonprofits to come in and record, and then we play throughout the day, 24/7 public service announcements. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, it's one of my favorite topics. Unfortunately, outside of this radio station, and public television, you don't really see them much anymore, and there's a reason for that, a very unfortunate reason. It's called deregulation. But when I started working my career, and I have mentioned that on here before, I started working at a commercial radio station in Austin. And the owner of the radio station was Lyndon Johnson, and it was quickly made evident to me that I was working there at the radio station, but I was being groomed for if and when my boss ever became president of the United States, which he did. And after 5.5 years of working there, then he became president, and I was the youngest White House advisor ever at age 16. And I attribute a lot of my love of nonprofit to public service announcements. When I first started in radio, I thought I was going to be the next Dick Clark in radio. I had just interviewed Elvis Presley on live radio, and one of my mentors was Bill Moyers of PBS fame. And he was a 24-year-old newscaster at the radio station, and he said several things to me. He said, suck it up, kid. You're not going to put Dick Clark out of business. You can like someone, you can admire someone, but you can't go through life as a carbon copy of them. And furthermore, he said, if you can't take the dirtiest job at any company and do it better than anyone else, you'll never be management. And I said, well, what's the dirtiest job here at the radio TV station? Sweeping out the floors? He said, no, being the public service director. And in other words, we were required to work with community organizations, find out what their needs were. It was a process called community ascertainment, which meant we were required to go into the community and sit down and talk with community stakeholders about what they thought, what they believed, what the community needed. I mean, that stuff, this station is doing all the time anyway. But in the old days, all the commercial stations used to do that. They were required to, whether they wanted to or not. Unfortunately, when you remove that requirement, they don't do any of that anymore. And so public service announcements, some of them were done live, some of them were recorded. Often you would get celebrities passing through town to record PSAs for you. There's national organizations such as the Advertising Council who would produce really nice PSAs, both for radio and TV. And many of them won awards, which gave them an attaboy, which helped them with their corporate clients. So PSAs were one of those things where everybody won. Problem was that as the years went by and the rush to deregulate every industry came, broadcasting was deregulated. I went to Congress a number of years ago. I've testified many times at Congress, and the one time that they booed me was when I talked on this very topic. And I said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here on behalf of nonprofit organizations around the country. And public service airtime is their lifeblood. They need it to inspire their clients. They need it to serve the communities. They need it for awareness, for special events. And they said, well, what do you think will happen without all this? I said, mark my words, within a few years, a handful of companies will own all the commercial radio stations. They're going to only feel obligated to make money, and they're not going to serve the community. And they said, that can't be. That's not true. I said, yes, it is. And I'm right, and that's the way it is. And I'm sorry to say I am right about that. And I was right about that 30 years ago. And I don't like being right about this particular topic, because anything that's against nonprofit organizations, which are the backbone of the community, I'm against. You know, I mean, I'm for 95% of everything, but anything that hurts the ability of nonprofit organizations to serve the communities is not good. And so that's why I think that Lone Star Radio and the few community outlets that are still doing PSAs are doing the most humane, noble service. I would like companies to start devoting a section on their website, call it the Community Corner, where they talk about things, organizations they support. You know, there are ways in modern life that we can still do public service announcements. Sadly, they're not on radio and television.
Well, Hank, you know, that's one of the things that's also dear to my heart, and I feel it's an important part of being successful in business. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to take a short break now, and when we come back, we're going to be talking further with Hank about why community relations really are so important to you and your business.
The East Texas Dream Center is in need of your help. We are a nonprofit Christian organization that houses women and children who are trying to get their lives back after being homeless, abused, or addicted. We are conveniently located at 301 South 1st Street, Conroe, Texas, 77301, right here in Montgomery County. Our needs are financial and every needs of gasoline, cleaning supplies, laundry soap, Lysol, and whatever else God puts in your heart. To help our ladies and children, please consider a donation. You may visit our website at www.easttexasdreamcenter.org. Again, so you don't forget, it's www.easttexasdreamcenter.org. Donations are tax deductible. Remember what Jesus said, with God, nothing is impossible.
Tune in to Chamber Chat with your host, Courtney Galley and Samantha Good, with the Conroe, Lake Conroe Chamber of Commerce, every first Tuesday of the month at 11 a.m. I'm one of your hosts, Courtney Galley. Samantha and I will chat about the Conroe Chamber's upcoming events and programs for the month. Relax with a cup of joe or your favorite drink for Chamber Chat.
Doing business since 1985, Assistance League of Montgomery County is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization where all proceeds stay in Montgomery County. Through our Operation School Bell program, we have provided new clothes to over 50,000 students in our county. Visit our thrift shop at 126 North San Jacinto Street in downtown Conroe or call us at 936-760-1151. Don't forget to like us on Facebook.
You are listening to the Weekly Business Hour, and this is Rick Schissler, your Silver Fox advisor and host of the show. And we were having a conversation when we went to break with Mr. Hank Moore, a well-known author and speaker and strategist, talking about Hank's new book, Nonprofit Legends. And we kind of left it, Hank, where we were talking about why are community relations so important for business. Can you give us a little insight on that?
Every company in business, if they want to stay in business, and I think they do, has an obligation to do business with the communities in which they do business. And for local businesses here in Montgomery County, they're wonderful about serving the community because they know their neighbors and their friends are also their customers. They know that already. Bigger corporations sometimes need to be educated, but many of them know it too. Some of the large ones have large community relations departments. One of the things I've done over the years, of course, I've had about 5,000 clients over the years, including 100 of the Fortune 500. And every time we do their strategic plan, one of the sections that we look at is their community relations program. And it needs to be a formal program, just like their HR program, their diversity program, every other aspect of their company. And most big companies understand the value of giving back. And some of those kind of in the middle, we need to educate a little bit, but they generally come to the party pretty soon. And, my recommendation to them is think of it as a series of business decisions, plan your cause-related marketing program, change it up every year, diversify the companies you serve, spread the wealth around as best you can. Sometimes I'll talk to heads of companies and I'll say, well, why did you give thus and such to charity? Why that charity and that charity only? They'll say, oh, well, Joe down the hall, his wife's on the committee. Well, that's not a reason. And once you say to them, think of it as a business strategy, then it opens things up. One of the things I've recommended to many corporations over the years is that they can also set up their own standalone 501c3 foundation. And the foundation can help galvanize their charitable activities. And sometimes they can even channel some of their marketing activities for their company through the foundation and realize better tax savings. And once they think of it that way, I've set up foundations for Disney, Marriott, Texaco, and some smaller companies. I remember one of the first foundation I ever set up, I was working with St. Joseph Hospital downtown, and we set up the Stalin Foundation for cancer research because it was able to raise money and do kinds of research that the hospital proper couldn't at that time. So foundations are a good way, but even when the company sets a separate committee within the company to really look and really strategize and do what I referred to in the previous segment as community ascertainment. One of the best ways a company can reach out to the community is host a meeting in their conference room and do community ascertainment like we used to do for radio. And just ask people, what are some of the emerging challenges facing our community? What can we collectively do to work together? And I found those companies that reach out to their stakeholders are going to get more support that way. Small businesses that do that are going to get more business referrals just because they care about the community. One of the things that I know I recommended on this show one time before was if you simply rewrite and update your ethics statement, it could be a one-paragraph statement, send it out to all your stakeholders, and most of them will favorably thank you. And most of them will go, well, thank you for sharing that with me. That's what I mean by community relations. The more you reach out and pat each other on the back, again, none of us are in business to do all this good guy stuff 100% of the time, but the way that we do it is going to help galvanize the communities and the business. So it's a continuum is all it is.
Well, it's truly a win-win. I need to ask you, in the front of the book where the title, Legends, Nonprofit Legends, you have a subtitle, For Humanity and Good Citizenship. Care to elaborate about that?
Well,
why you chose that?
I owe that one to a lot of wonderful people that came ahead of me. This book, of course, is part of the Legends series. It's the fourth in a series of 7 Legends books. There are 3 more coming. And the more we thank those who came before us, we are their legacy. When I won that award last year from Volunteer Houston, Lifetime Achievement Award, I accepted it on behalf of I'm a Hog and Lyndall Wortham and George Mitchell, George R. Brown, all those Houston legends that I talked about previously on the show, and all these national people that I knew, Winston Churchill, Eleanor Roosevelt. I mean, I've been blessed in my life to be around people that have really given to humanity. And so when I get to thank and recognize people like Bill Gates and some of the business leaders, that they would rather be recognized as humanitarians than they would like to be recognized for the money they've made. With those guys, with all of those legends, Walt Disney, all of the ones that I met, and I've talked about in previous books, the give back was always the most important part. They were always in it for humanity. They wanted to make a difference. It wasn't about the dollars. It never was with any of them.
You know, one of the things in the book, so people get a better feel for the book and at least take the time to go look at the book, is you talk about strategy and how important it is. Mm-hmm. And there's a mention in there that apparently some research has shown that only 2% of nonprofits do any kind of strategic planning. What do we do to challenge the nonprofits to do more planning? Only
2% of all businesses only do planning. I mean, that we need to challenge everybody. You know, I mean, I was on a show with you before about 3 years ago, and all we talked about was strategic planning. It's just a matter of going back and looking how far you've come, celebrating that with your people, and then moving on. There are a lot of nonprofits that host annual meetings just like corporations do. And it's where we go and we think, well, that program really worked. Let's fine tune this one a little bit. I mean, the answers to nonprofit organizations are like small businesses. Some of them are big businesses. Right now, and these statistics are amazing. There are 2.3 million nonprofit organizations in the United States. There are 100,000 of those in Texas. There are 22,000 of that. 100,000 are in the greater Houston metro area. That would be in the 4 counties, Harris, Montgomery, Fort Bend, and Galveston. That's a lot of nonprofit organizations, and they have grown. They've doubled over the last 25 years. And many of them are competing for the same volunteers, for the same donations. They need to get very strategic about how they're thinking and where they're going. I've worked personally with about 1,500 nonprofit organizations. And in some cases, it was a matter of doing mergers, doing acquisitions, just like you would for a business. And I can remember many examples where we said, I was doing a strategic planning session with the hospice program. And I said, well, if death and dying maybe shouldn't be our only product, if people are living longer and more robustly, might we expand into senior citizen services that other agencies aren't doing? I remember when I was involved in setting up the Barbara Bush Literacy Program, we weren't trying to compete with existing literacy organizations. We were trying to expand into service areas. And when I worked on setting up the Houston Read Commission, it was to become the United Way of Literacy was the nickname we gave it behind the scenes, that we were the umbrella that got the other guys working together. And there's a purpose for that, So there are strategic objectives in the nonprofit world. Many of them are very small. Most of them are very small. Most of them are struggling for dollars. Only, more than half, approximately 60% of all nonprofit organizations operate in the red all the time. So they're constantly playing catch up. Some of them are always in a fundraising mode. So the more strategic you can be about it, part of my strategy for those guys would be maybe you're trying to serve too many people. Maybe you're a little too big. Maybe you're a little too stretched. Maybe you need to be a little more strategic. So strategy works for businesses of all sizes, and those that do the strategic planning are going to make it longer. The dropout rate for nonprofit organizations is not bad, actually, not as bad as the dropout rate for small businesses that don't plan. But research tells us that 40% of all organizations, if they do no planning this year or next, they will be out of business in 5 years. That's scary.
That's an amazing thing you bring up. And, Hank, we've come, unfortunately, to the end of our time today. I really appreciate you joining us. And if people want to take a look at the book, perhaps buy the book, what's the best way for them to do it?
Well, it's a national, international book, and it doesn't actually go on Amazon until the spring and all the bookstores. But right now, the only place they can get it, and there's a fulfillment house, www.nonprofitlegends.com. It's as simple as that. And you can also order the other books. I'll be doing some community events, quite a few. In fact, we're doing a big thing with public television in January, a party in their studio, because the history of public TV is one of the chapters of that book. And it's just, the book is not like the other Legends books where it's just fun facts about all the neat people. There are 4 of those kind of chapters in the book, but it's a textbook. It's everything you need to know to run a volunteer organization, to do it right, to plan it, to do ethics. And there's some fun chapters too. There's 26 chapters. And this is a book I've been needing to write for 30 years. And because of the success of all the other Legends books, this is the one that I most wanted to do. And this is the one I'm going to be the most proud of. I'll be speaking at the United Nations next spring and at other national venues about humanitarian issues. And maybe I'll come back and we'll talk about that some more. But it all comes back to loving the community. And I think every good citizen does. And everybody wants to do something. The average human being donates 125 hours a year to volunteer service. Some of us do more. I mean, there were some years I was doing 2,000 pro bono hours. And part of it is educating people about the wonderfulness of community and that nonprofit involvement is not taking away from business, it's augmenting it.
Well, Hank, again, thank you so much. And I will tell people that it is a wonderful book if you're involved in nonprofits, particularly if you are a nonprofit. You work for a nonprofit. You volunteer for a nonprofit, your business supports the community. I would encourage you to look for this book and to read it and pass it on. And they also need to thank you, Hank. You made an acknowledgement in the book to myself, and I appreciate that. And thank you again, Hank. You're such a great friend of Lone Star Community Radio. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to our break at the bottom of the hour. And when we come back, Matt Umholtz, the founder of PaySphere, will join us to talk about a special award that his company won recently.
Heaven's Army of Resources and Recreation Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization featuring a 10,000 square foot building located at 19325 FM 1485 West, New Caney, Texas. At Heaven's Army, we offer over 26 different services free for all ages, from karate, dance, drug and alcohol classes, anger management, parenting, food and clothing pantries, to just name a few. We are supported solely by volunteers and private donations. Our main mission is to glorify God in all that we do. At Heaven's Army, we strive to be a hand up, not a handout. Come check us out at 19325 FM 1485 West, New Caney, Texas, or call for more information at 281-689-5864. You may also learn more about Heaven's Army by visiting our website at heavensarmyofresources.com.
You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. It is 11:32. We're going to do a quick weather and traffic, and then we'll get back to the weekly business hour. Just to give you a heads up, after the weekly business hour at 12 o'clock will be East Montgomery County News with everything East Montgomery. So stay tuned with that with Margie Taylor, your host. Right now, it's 52 degrees outside. Humidity is around 93%. Today, there's a 50% chance of rain already. If you haven't noticed, it has been raining, and it's going to continue out throughout the night tonight. Today's high is 55, and the low is going to be around 46. Traffic conditions in the Montgomery County area, I'm not seeing any accidents or incidences being reported. I-45, if you're heading southbound into Houston, you're going to run into trouble right there at 610, but other than that, you're good to go. You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio here on irlonestar.com, and of course, Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. We'll get back to the weekly business hour after these messages.
At Jazzy Junk, volunteers reclaim, restore, and recycle. Jazzy Junk is a non-profit resale storefront where you will discover wonderful, unique finds at very affordable prices on furniture, antiques, books, art, home decor, and more. When you shop Jazzy Junk, you support New Danville, a community for adults with developmental disabilities. We receive new donations daily, so plan a visit to Jazzy Junk today to find that perfect item or gift. Our motto is here today, gone today. So remember to hurry
Hey,
in
Matt,
and
this
shop
is Dick
often
Schissler.
for the best
Can you hear me?
selection. Jazzy Junk is located in the outlets at Conroe on League Line Road and I-45 North. Call 936-441-4500 or visit our website, jazzyjunk.org. That's Junque for more information and store hours.
Doing business since 1985, Assistance League of Montgomery County is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization where all proceeds stay in Montgomery County. Through our Operation School Bell program, we have provided new clothes to over 50,000 students in our county. Visit our thrift shop at 126 North San Jacinto Street in downtown Conroe or call us at 936-760-1151. Don't forget to like us on Facebook.
Silver Fox advisor and host of the Weekly Business Hour. Welcome back for our third segment today, and we're really blessed to have Matt Umholtz, the founder of PaySphere, join us. Matt, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much, Rick. Really excited to be here with you today.
Well, and what I really want to talk about is the fact that your company won a very prestigious award recently, given annually by the Houston Business Journal as one of the best places to work in Houston. But before we go there, even though you've been on the show before, tell people what business PaySphere is in, please.
Yeah, so PaySphere is the fastest growing independent payroll provider in Texas. We currently service close to 500 companies throughout the country, and we provide payroll, HR, and timekeeping support primarily.
Well, and I want to tell folks they do a great job. I refer Matt whenever I get a chance. Got a wonderful company you're building, and that's evidenced, again, by the prestigious award you won, Best Places to Work in Houston. Share with us why your company entered that competition.
You know, we initially entered the competition because one of our teammates from the sales side of our business was just really lobbying that we could win. She's like, this is a great place to work. It's the best place I've ever worked, and I think we need to enter. And she really pushed us hard to do it. And you know, we actually filled out a little application online and went through a process of a vetting process with them. where they eventually sent out a little questionnaire to all of our employees and received that feedback and then came up with the final rankings for the business.
So there was a process involved. It took approximately how long? Over a period of a month, 2 months?
Total effort for us, really a few days. The process started 6 months earlier, though. So you have to fill out a little, you have to be nominated, which an employee nominated us. The second step is we had to fill out an entire application of why we think we're the best company, what benefits we provide, what do we do differently. And then after that phase, they sent out the individual employee questionnaires, and that's where the rankings came from. So there were actually a total of 55 small business finalists for the HBJ Best Companies to Work For, and we were fortunate enough to actually take the second spot on that list of 55 small business finalists.
Well, let me ask you, if I may, in your opinion, what is it that made your company stand out as a best place to work?
Well, so the employee surveys come up with the rankings. So it's really what our employees said. And I've asked them and polled them on, hey guys, how did we do this well? As a founder of a fast-growing business, we're always trying to, find out what we're doing really well. And the biggest thing is we're growing, and we're growing fast, and our employees are behind our vision and our mission, and they're just energized to come into work every day. Over the past 6 months, we've added 7 new team members, and just the pace and excitement of our business really has given everybody something to stand behind and really just to rally behind our vision, our mission. Back probably a year ago, we also went through a vision, mission, and values process to come up with our vision, mission, and our core values. And I think the core values are probably the most important thing, because after we came up with them, now we can hire to those core values, we can manage to those core values, and we're bringing people on to our business that embody those values. So you end up with just great people that are the perfect target for what we're trying to accomplish. I also heard from our team hands-on coaching and providing a lot of feedback. Employees don't like to just sludge away every day and not get feedback from their managers, so we're very hands-on from a coaching standpoint and very hands-on from providing quality feedback. At the same time, we give our staff a lot of autonomy and a lot of freedom to think and accomplish their job within the way they feel that they should accomplish it. We obviously have an end result that we're looking for, but really that's what we're targeting from a coaching standpoint. Also, we really try to build a team, and team can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. We try to get out and do things. We recently did a scavenger hunt where we broke everybody up into individual teams and had to scour the North Houston, Woodlands, Conroe area for individual items that were and weren't related to our business, and that was a really fun event. We also hit a milestone, and we got a huge stretch limo and took our whole team to the Astros game. Before that, we bought PaySphere baseball shirts and hats and just really outfitted everybody in the PaySphere brand. And then most recently, we actually did a team wiffle ball game. I guess that's a little lower impact than softball. And got our team all out of the office on a Friday afternoon, and they brought their families and just really had a great time doing that.
One of the things you're touching on, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I've got a great smile on my face right now, a big smile, because in the first part of the show, in my thought for the week, we talked about celebrations, and I think that's something that your company, and you and I have talked about this before off air, about the celebration part of your business. Like you look for these great opportunities to celebrate your success.
Absolutely. And there's something that we do that's kind of conceptual around that, Rick, and that's we have quarterly themes. So for each quarter, we will have, and it may be sports related. So the wiffle ball game was at the end of a quarter where we had a baseball related quarterly theme. The entire company was broken into 2 teams, and then we came up with point values or hits, bases, runs on the baseball team. for specific areas that we wanted to target in our business that, if we did them, led to success within that quarter. So it's all lead indicators, and obviously the success in the quarter comes after we do all the hard work. And we just wanted to celebrate that. We even got trophies for the winning team and made it like a little league baseball game in essence. But it was just really fun to rally around a quarter in that way and try to achieve our results.
One of the things that you touched on there that I think is important is that, and you and I, again, have visited, and I know you're very driven. You set goals fairly high as far as growth. And so in order to bring your team along in that growth, as you alluded to earlier, the celebrations, all the pieces of that puzzle, I mean, really, really have to fall in place because, again, you're pushing really high, very fast. You can hire the right people, but you really do have to keep them motivated, don't you?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're laser focused on that, just trying to keep everybody engaged in the business because, as you said, we're moving fast, which leads to, stress and a lot of work within the business. So, just doing fun things around our goals. And I found out a long time ago that, as you have revenue goals as a business owner, employees sometimes don't really relate to that. What we do every day is helping a small business owner run their business more effectively and have better results within their own life. And, our team being a service business, like that's what they care about. So in the theme, breaking down the pieces of what they're focusing on into, what they care about, which is just helping people.
One of the things in the contest, when you enter a contest like one of the best places to work, impact on your employees, give us an idea of how this has impacted your employees or prospective employees.
Well, so it's impacted both, and I think both in a great way. So the first thing we were able to do is the celebration for the HBJ. They have a luncheon, and it's the award ceremony where they call out the names of the winners, and they actually go over the final rankings. And we were able to take, based on tenure, some of our earliest employees that had been around and helped build the bedrock of that culture to the event. And it was a themed event, and we dressed up and just had a whole lot of fun with it. And I think for employees that maybe hadn't bought into the culture, it showed, man, these guys are doing something right. Maybe I should probably get on the bus now. And then for candidates, we literally had anybody we've interviewed has said, I saw you won one of the top places to work. So, it's not as much of us saying, hey, we're a great place to work. It's they already know it coming in just because we were recognized, throughout the city. So.
Well, that's really got to help you in hiring the best people.
Absolutely. Sure has.
What about impact on your clients or prospective clients? Have you seen any impact from the award on them?
I can't say that we have directly, other than clients seeing the rankings on their own if they're, if they get the HBJ, and just sending us congrats and saying great job. So I think it does, because we're a service business, it validates to them that we're focused on service. If employees are happy, they serve clients a lot better. So I would say that's the impact there. I haven't seen, huge dividends from it there, but.
Well, Matt, in the last minute or so that we have this morning, give us a quick idea of what you see in the future for PaySphere.
So, right now we're really focused on continued growth. So we're trying to grow our sales team the early parts of the year by 4 additional sales folks in the field. We're moving into significantly larger office space in early Q2, which is 3 times the space we have today. So it's exciting for us just to see growth from that standpoint that's truly tangible. And what we're doing right now, Rick, is our national competition is really underserving the greater Houston and North Houston market. So we're just out there trying to find the people who have used our national competition for a long time, and they really want a better experience. They want somebody to listen and understand them and deliver products that solve their business problems. So we're really laser focused on trying to find those folks.
Let me ask you this before we go. If people want to get in contact with you to talk about perhaps even the award, but more particularly about the service you offer, what's the best way for them to do that?
So they can call us directly at 281-377-8144. They could visit us at our website. It's www.PaySphere, that's PaySphere, payroll.com, so PaySpherePayroll.com. Or they could email us. So our email address they could email is sales, S-A-L-E-S, at PaySpherePayroll.com. And if anybody's out there listening and want to learn a little bit more about how we achieved the award, I would definitely welcome the call. Just call our main office line and ask for Matt.
Well, I appreciate that, Matt, and thanks again for joining us. Appreciate your support of the station and look forward to talking to you in the future. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our final break for the day. And when we come back, I'm going to talk about our Silver Fox tip of the week, changing your business. So please stay with us.
Hi, I'm Mike Sasser, your host of the Health Hour right here on Lone Star Community Radio. I'd like to invite you to tune in to my live show each Wednesday starting at 1 p.m. I like to say it's an hour of health news you can use. Be a part of the conversation by going to MikeSasser.com and clicking on Contact Mike for my email, Facebook, and Twitter links. The Health Hour with Mike Sasser every Wednesday at 1 p.m. on Lone Star Community Radio, your local source for healthy living.
You're going to need me.
You're going to need us.
All of us.
You're going to need our help with your water, your air, your food.
You're going to need our determination, our compassion.
You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring.
And we promise we'll be there when you need us.
Today, 4-H is growing the next generation of leaders.
If you are looking to start a career, you can start your professional life in the U.S. Army. I am Staff Sergeant Stephen Jackson. My fellow soldiers and I can talk with you about learning high-tech skills in electronics and computers as a soldier. Interested in the medical field? The Army has skilled medical and dental jobs that set you up for future success. Come visit us at 2109 West Davis Street, directly behind the Whataburger on Highway 105, or give us a call at 936-756-7002.
Doing business since 1985, Assistance League of Montgomery County is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization where all proceeds stay in Montgomery County. We are proud to sponsor 10 philanthropic programs that enhance the lives of those in our community. Visit our thrift shop at 126 North San Jacinto Street in downtown Conroe or call us at 936-760-1151. Don't forget to like us on Facebook.
Did you know there are more than 790 abused and neglected children currently in foster care in Montgomery County? Will you help make a difference? I'm Allie Stevens with Casa Child Advocates of Montgomery County. We train and support volunteers to be the voice of children in the foster care system. Kids are removed from their home because of abuse and neglect, and we need volunteers just like you to advocate for these children. To learn more about becoming an advocate, please visit CasaSpeaksForKids.com. That's CasaSpeaksForKids.com.
Have a legal question? Are you a resident of Montgomery County? Call 281-645-6344 to talk to a volunteer attorney from the Woodlands Bar Association. We answer the phones on the first Monday of every month at 281-645-6344 from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. to provide general legal information and information about legal resources to Montgomery County residents.
You are listening to the Weekly Business Hour, and this is Rick Schissler, your Silver Fox advisor and host of the show. We're in the final segment of the show today, and before we get started with the Silver Fox tip of the week, I want to mention a couple of things. One of our friends here at the Weekly Business Hour, John Martin with Thrivent Financial, passed on to me an opportunity if you're in business out there and want to help out, or as an individual. Thrivent is involved in a coat drive. Coats are collected and handed out to folks that can't afford a coat. You just have to step outside today and recognize the fact that people need a coat today. So it's a nice thing to do. So if you've got some old coats, I encourage you to go to this website, www.air.com. /events. You can get all the information about the drop-off points. So if you'd like to support this effort, please do it. Also, I need to mention that our guest on last segment, Matt Umholtz, PaySphere, who won one of the best places to work in Houston award recently, is part of a Silver Fox Advisors CEO Roundtable. And if you're listening today or on one of our podcasts and you are here in this area, in the greater Houston area, and would like to be part of one of those CEO Roundtables, I encourage you to go check it out. It's a great opportunity. There's no cost. And join one of those tables. You can do that by simply going to the Silver Fox website, www.silverfox.org, and the information's right there on the homepage. Click through, and they even have a video or two that you can watch and get testimonials and understand the program. But it's a great opportunity for any business that's seeking to improve their business to be part of a peer group, meeting on a monthly basis, just an hour and a half, not a huge investment in your time, but a great opportunity. There's over 20 of these tables throughout the greater Houston area. Encourage you to join one if you're in business for yourself. Well, let's talk about, with a little bit of time we have left, the Silver Fox tip of the week. This week, I want to talk about changing your business. And I want to start with a quote from Dan Millman, who wrote a book, The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. In that book, he says, the secret of change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new. And I think that's a pretty profound quote that talks about or directs to what change is all about. Change is inherent in the building of a new business. It is just part of the puzzle that must be put together and must be dealt with. You know, I've been told on many occasions that many people, and I have to include myself in that, don't appreciate change. We're happy with status quo, at least inside of us. But I do recognize and have supported and been involved in a number of changes in businesses over the years, particularly in businesses that I started or bought and sought to grow to a point where I could sell them. It was very important that I bought into change. And that is the first thing to be aware of if you're looking to change, and you need to change. Otherwise, you're going to get swept aside in the competitive, fast-moving business world. And that is to look at your team, whether it's you yourself or you have a team, you're a small company, and you're growing that team, just like Matt talked about in our previous segment, growing PaySphere, adding 7 employees in the last 6 months. Started out with just he and his wife, and he has grown that business. You have to look at your team and make sure that they buy into change. Make sure that they are the kind of people that will change, that will grow, and eventually fit into the slot that supports the success of the business. I think another thing that's important is who's involved in the change. Not only must those involved buy into it, but the people that are going to direct the change. Typically, the owner of the business directs for the most part, but if you've got a business with 6, 8, 10, 12, 50, 100 employees, there'll be certain management or supervisory people, and those people need to be coached. They need to be taught and brought into the inner circle, if you will, and not only buy into that change, but make sure they are prepared for the change. Make sure they can go out and teach the employees or the group of people that they are responsible for how the change is going to work, how it will be implemented. Get them to be sure that these employees buy into the change, that they're ready to answer questions when they do come up. And I happen to believe that questions in the midst of change are a very important sign that the change is working, that people are asking questions because they realize that something is happening. Even though you've made a statement that we're going to grow, we're going to do this, we're going to bring in this new equipment, we're going to start this new service, a lot of times that just kind of goes over people's heads. And I don't know the reason for that. Probably could do a whole show on the attentiveness of employees, particularly in the area of change. But the reality is it's important, and the owner has the burden in this case to make sure that each employee understands that change is taking place, what it's about, and particularly what it's going to look like once you arrive at your goal of the change itself. You know, I read a statistic recently that change in general is 90% positive and beneficial. Well, that's my comments about change. I encourage you to be in a change mode in your business. I appreciate you joining us today, and thank you to all our guests who appeared today. And remember, you too can sponsor the Weekly Business Hour. If you'd like to be a sponsor, contact me direct at rick@irlonestar.com for details. And look for the podcast of today's show on the Weekly Business Hour page of irlonestar.com or on our Facebook page later in the week. Until next week, stay engaged this week and keep your focus on what counts in your business. Thank you.